It is my greatest honor and privilege to welcome Janica Barker, the chair of 30% Club Global, onto the stage. 여러분 큰 박수로 환영해 주십시오. Please welcome her onto the stage with a huge round of applause. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here in Seoul for this year's Korea Women in Finance Conference, and I'm grateful to Chairwoman Kim Sang-hyun, the Korean Network of Women in Finance, and all of the distinguished guests and speakers for bringing us together. My name is Jennifer Barker. I'm the global head of the Treasury Services and Depositary Receipts businesses at BNY. To give you a sense of who we are, let me start with where we began. We trace our roots back to more than 240 years. Founded in 1784, we are the oldest bank in the United States. In 1792, we became the first company to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. But here's where we are today. We are the world's largest custodian, safeguarding over $55 trillion in assets under custody. We are in the top 5 US dollar payment clears globally, processing $2.4 trillion in US dollar payments every day. We are the #1 global depository bank by number of sponsored depository receipts programs with $404 billion in assets under custody. And we are the #1 global provider of clearance and collateral management, managing over $6.5 trillion in collateral worldwide. Our history and presence in South Korea are a particular source of pride and partnership. Since opening our first Seoul branch in 1988, we've played a role in connecting Korea to global markets, from sponsoring the country's very first American Depository Receipt program to deepening collaboration with the National Pension Service. This legacy of partnership reflects a broader commitment to BNY to serve as a trusted link between institutions and the global financial system, empowering them, safeguarding, and growing money in today's interconnected markets. We are relentless about helping clients navigate complexity, whether that means delivering seamless cross-border payments, building trusted financial infrastructure, or investing in the technologies that drive efficiency and resilience. I've been incredibly fortunate to lead this work, and even more fortunate to do alongside exceptionally talented colleagues who bring passion and dedication to what we do every day. Those experiences have shaped how I think about leadership and strengthened my determination to ensure that everyone, regardless of gender, has the opportunity to lead and to thrive. Today, I'm here as an advocate for accelerating women's leadership in finance, and will be speaking in my capacity as the global chair of the 30% Club, a global campaign focused on building a culture where talent defines opportunity. The 30% Club was launched in the United Kingdom in 2010 by Dame Helena Morrissey, while she was CEO of Newton Investment Management, which is part of BNY. 30% Club grew out of a 2009 roundtable about the slow pace of women reaching senior roles in business. What began as a UK initiative has become a truly global movement, now active in more than 20 markets worldwide, with chapters led by chairs and CEOs who have committed to the 30% goal. The 30% Club is driven by a simple but powerful idea that having at least 30% representation of women at the board and executive level is the critical tipping point for real, lasting change. It works by engaging business leaders to voluntarily commit to progress, a model that has proven its power. Our mission is to open pathways for talented women into leadership roles, create cultures where different perspectives drive better decisions, and hold ourselves as well as business leaders accountable for progress. Around the world, we've seen that progress often comes from collective determination when businesses, policymakers, and communities work together to remove barriers and open doors. Yet, despite this progress, the numbers remind us there's still more to do. Globally, women hold only about 10% of CEO positions among the Fortune 500 companies. According to a 2024 report by Catalyst, women account for just about 1/3 of their board seats. In financial services, the share of women in executive roles is even smaller. And here in Korea, the figures tell us there is still a significant gap to close. Despite high levels of education and workforce participation, Korea has ranked at the lower end of the OECD's glass ceiling index for 13 consecutive years. A stark reminder that progress cannot be taken for granted. Studies show that increasing female representation is not just the right thing to do, but it's an economic necessity. Bain & Company estimates that raising women's workforce participation could boost Korea's GDP by nearly 7 percentage points. These barriers are familiar, from promotion practices that disadvantage women to career interruptions tied to caregiving to unconscious bias in how talent is assessed. These challenges are seen in many markets, but their impact has been especially persistent in Korea. The Economist 2025 report shows that Korea, alongside Japan and Turkey, continues to rank near the bottom among developed economies for women in leadership roles. Fewer than 20% of leadership roles are held by women, and under 21% of corporate board seats in less than 17 executive positions are held by women. The gender pay gap also remains among the widest in the world. These are stark reminders that progress will not come just from time alone. It will come only if we choose to act with urgency and intention. So we have to ask ourselves, what will it take to finally shift these numbers? What will it take to ensure women aren't just present in the workforce, but leading it? What will it take to unlock the full potential of Korea's economy and the global economy by empowering women at every level? It starts with recognition that change is never the work of one person alone. There's a famous Korean proverb that I've always found meaningful. Even a sheet of paper is lighter when lifted together. It feels especially fitting in this moment. Because in the same way, creating a more inclusive Korea will require us, and all of us as individuals, institutions, leaders, to carry forward this work together. From my own career, I've learned a few lessons that I believe can help guide us. These lessons come from moments when I had to navigate bias, adapt deeply ingrained cultures, and rely on mentors and allies to help keep moving forward. Experiences, I believe, hold insights for anyone working to advance women leadership here in Korea. I'd like to share a few of these lessons with you today. The first lesson is challenging assumptions. Early in my career, I learned what often holds women back is not their lack of ability or ambition, but the assumptions, sometimes unspoken, that others make about women and what we can and cannot do. I've seen this firsthand in moments when my capabilities were questioned or when I had to work harder to demonstrate that I was ready for the same opportunities as others. Those experiences showed me that progress begins when we refuse to accept such assumptions as fixed. It takes questioning outdated beliefs and proving through performance that talent and leadership come in many forms. In Korea, this lesson feels particularly relevant. Studies show that unconscious bias remains one of the most persistent barriers to women's advancement, from how potential is assessed to how career breaks tied to caregiving are penalized. Women who leave the workforce in their 30s to raise families often lose a decade or more of prime working years. And when they return, their contributions are too often undervalued or overlooked. In other markets, companies have experimented with ways to smooth back this transition. For example, returnship programs offer structured pathways combining training, mentorship, and flexible arrangements that help women restart their careers with real opportunities for advancement. Similarly, in Europe, parental leave is widely used by mothers and fathers, helping reduce the stigma of stepping away from work. Korea has strong maternity leave policies in place. However, studies indicate that many women do not take full advantage of these benefits. Workplace norms and cultural perceptions, such as concerns that extended leave could slow career progression, are often cited by experts as factors that influence women's decisions. This hesitation points to something deeper than policy design. It reflects the cultural expectation that caregiving responsibilities naturally fall on women. According to the International Labor Organization's Care Work and Care Jobs report, women spend an average of 4 hours and 25 minutes per day on unpaid care work, compared with 2 hours and 16 minutes for men. When care is unequally distributed, taking leave is seen as a personal sacrifice rather than a shared societal responsibility. And that perception reinforces the very barriers such policies aim to remove. That's why challenging assumptions is important, because progress doesn't come from policies alone. It comes from shifting the mindset around who we expect to care and who we value in the role, both at home and at work. The second lesson is about claiming your seat at the table. When I first began my career, I was in consulting, a field I chose because I loved solving complex problems and working with clients across industries. After a few years, I realized I wanted to be closer to where decisions are made, to be part of shaping solutions and seeing them through. That desire is what led me to JP Morgan, where I spent the next 19 years building my career within Treasury Services, taking on different roles and responsibilities across the business. Treasury Services appealed to me because it sits at the very core of how the financial system works. It's about helping clients move money securely and efficiently around the world, bringing together technology, innovation, problem solving in ways that have a tangible impact on business and communities. It also meant stepping into a space where there were only a few women. In those early years, I often found myself the only woman at the table. I had to learn to speak up and believe that my voice belonged in those conversations. That experience taught me something important. Claiming your seat at the table isn't just about being invited in. It's about showing up with confidence, bringing your perspective forward, and trusting that it's valuable. For many women, especially in industries or cultures where leadership tables are still mostly male, that can feel daunting. But it's also why visible progress matters, because when we see that change is possible, it helps us believe that our presence and our voices truly belong there. We've seen that progress firsthand. Over the past 15 years, the 30% Club's approach has delivered measurable impact. In the UK, women now hold nearly 45% of seats in the FTSE 100, the largest publicly listed companies, up from just 12% in 2010. And there are also no all-male boards remaining. Across the broader FTSE 350, the 350 largest listed companies in the UK, women now hold more than 42% of board seats. In the United States, women hold about 30% of board seats across the Russell 3000 and the 3,000 largest publicly traded companies, more than 35% among the top 100. These aren't just statistics. They demonstrate that when leaders commit to action, not just good intention, women gain not only a seat at the table, but also a voice that is heard and shapes decisions. Here in Korea, many women in finance and other traditionally male-dominated sectors still face these same challenges, walking into rooms where few, if any, women are present. The last time I was in Seoul, Hunju Park, who is the BNY country manager for Korea, who is an amazing, accomplished female leader, arranged a dinner with several women leaders who continue to be trailblazers today. I had the honor of having dinner with 9 highly accomplished women, including current and former CEOs and directors of banks and companies across several industries, most of whom were the first to be the woman in the seat These highly accomplished women are role models for others, allowing both women and men to see that progress is possible and that their daughters and other women in their lives can thrive in Korea and attain leadership position. Many of these trailblazing women spend time on the topic of female inclusion and paying it forward to the next generation of leaders. Their stories were inspiring and also a clear reminder that inclusion at the leadership level must continue to grow. The stakes are high. When women's voices are absent, organizations risk overlooking opportunities, reinforcing old assumptions, and missing out on the innovation that different perspectives bring. That's why progress can't stop at opening the door. It's about ensuring that when women are at the table, their contributions are valued and their influence felt. The progress we've seen across several countries proves that meaningful change is achievable, and it can be here too, if leaders and institutions in Korea show the same focus and determination. The third lesson is about finding and being a mentor. Mentorship has been one of the most powerful forces in my career. The best mentors didn't just give me advice. They asked the right questions, offered some perspective, and sometimes gave me the nudge I needed to step forward when I doubted myself. While working at JP Morgan, I was given the opportunity to move to Singapore. It was both exciting and daunting, and I had to step out of my comfort zone to a new country, a new culture, and a new way of doing business. Looking back, I realized what made that transition possible wasn't just my own determination. It was the guidance, encouragement, and belief of mentors and colleagues who helped me navigate the challenges and see opportunities that I might have overlooked. This is also why I have always believed in giving back by mentoring others, and it's one of the reasons I was drawn to serve as the global chair of the 30% Club. The 30% Club runs the world's largest cross-country mentoring program for women, connecting more than 32,000 participants across 60 countries and 275 organizations. At the 30% Club, we focus on creating not just opportunities for women to rise, but also the networks of mentorship and sponsorship that enable them to thrive once they get there. Research consistently shows that when women have access to strong mentors and sponsors, their promotion rates can be 20 to 30% higher than those who don't. This isn't just about opening doors, it's about ensuring that once women step through them, they have the guidance and support they need to keep moving forward. In Korea, this takes on an even deeper meaning. The financial sector here has long been shaped by hierarchical structures and traditional networks that often remain harder for women to access. Mentorship and sponsorship can serve as crucial bridges, helping women navigate these long-standing structures and ensuring that talent isn't just lost simply because the path to opportunity is harder to find. That is exactly why initiatives like the Korea Network of Women in Finance, founded by Chairwoman Kim, are so important. They connect senior leaders with rising talent and help women gain the access and support they need to thrive. As more leaders across Korea follow that example, reaching across hierarchies and actively supporting the next generation of women, we begin to see the kind of lasting systemic change that drives real progress. And finally, the fourth lesson is about leading with accountability. One of the most important things I've learned in senior leadership is that progress doesn't happen simply because we hope for it or we talk about it. It happens when leaders at every level are willing to be held accountable for setting clear goals, tracking them, and following through. It happens, just so happens that when I moved into larger leadership roles, first running businesses in Asia Pacific and now leading a global franchise, I saw that progress and talent and workplace culture only happens when it's treated as a business priority. That means it has to be reflected in how decisions are made every day, not just in what we say. The business case is clear. According to McKinsey & Company's global research, the companies in the top quartile for gender diverse leadership teams are up to 25% more likely to outperform on profitability. Yet in Korea, women represent less than 20% of middle management and may drop out before reaching senior roles due to cultural and structural barriers. These aren't just numbers. They're a signal of untapped potential that businesses and economies cannot afford to ignore. One reason this gap matters is because it reveals a disconnect. Women are driving the majority of household financial decisions, yet remain underrepresented in decision-making roles within organizations. So here's what I mean. According to McKinsey's study on learnings from South Korea's mobile retailing boom in 2023, women in South Korea account for approximately 55% of household financial management and are the primary decision makers for more than half of significant purchasing decisions. If the people making big decisions don't understand or represent who are actually spending the money, the business might miss what those customers really want or need. To close the gap in Korea and elsewhere, leaders in business, government, and finance will need to go beyond good intentions. They will have to measure progress, publish results, and hold themselves accountable in their organizations responsible for achieving real change. We spent a lot of time today talking about the gaps that remain, and we should, but let me be clear, I believe deeply in Korea's potential. The country has already shown the world its capacity to innovate and to lead, not only in finance and in technology, but also in advancing socioeconomic development. Korea has transformed itself in just a few decades into one of the world's leading economies, becoming a global hub for cutting-edge industries like semiconductors, green energy, and digital infrastructure. And of course, it has captured the imagination worldwide in culture, from the global wave of K-pop to award-winning films and shows like Parasite and Squid Games. I believe that same spirit of creativity and determination can and must power the next wave of progress for women's leadership here. Recently, there's been another burst of Korean entertainment capturing attention around the world, including by my own 16-year-old daughter. It's the Netflix animated movie, K-pop Demon Hunters. Although it was produced in the US, it is inspired by Korean pop culture and the global K-pop phenomenon. There's a song in the movie called Golden that really stuck with me, and one line in particular stayed with me. It goes something like this. I'm done hiding now. Now I'm shining like I'm born to be. We are dreaming hard. We've come so far. Now I believe we are going up, and it's our moment. Hearing those words, I couldn't help but think of the women I've met in Korea, talented, ambitious, ready to lead, but still facing barriers that keep them from rising as high as they could. Korea has come a long way, but as the song reminds us, there's still more to do. This is a moment to step forward, to claim the future that's waiting. So to all the women here today, and to all the allies in this room, like the song says, we are going up. It's our moment, and our time is now. Thank you.